All right, ready to go? Okay, I'd like to call the meeting of the Clean Energy Alliance Community Advisory Committee for August 8th to session. Roll call first. Please.
Committee Member Reed. Present. Committee Member Paul.
Yes, here.
Committee Member DeCino. Here. Committee Member Lasai Zadeh.
Yeah.
Committee Member Kirschbaum.
Here.
Committee Member Oshley.
Here.
Committee Member Davenport.
Here.
Committee Member Ishii.
Here.
Vice Chair Mosier.
Here.
And I will note that Committee Member Daniels just arrived. Committee Member Shade, Committee Member Jameson, Committee Member Norris, and Committee Member Naja Monet, as well as Chair Warden, are absent.
Okay, welcome, Linda. All right, it's time for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right. Please join me. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation. Thank you. Is there any public comment on items not on the agenda?
We do not have any non-agenda public comment.
Good. So then we should go on to item 1 on agenda, report on Oceanside and Vista enrollment.
Thank you, Vice Chair, members of the Community Advisory Committee. I'm going to start this off with an update on our enrollment for Oceanside and Vista. And this is a recap of some of the efforts our staff and our members of our Community Advisory Committee have made. Oops, I just went too fast. So we had 43 events, as it's shown on the up there, including presentations to various groups and booths at events. The sponsorship events included 11 in the city of Oceanside, 16 in the city of Vista, one in Spanish event, and then we reached out to approximately 1,700 people during those events and engagements, sent over 330,000 mailers to our customers. We've advertised in a variety of mediums, including the Post News, Vista Press, the Moonlight, Facebook, Google. In total, we've had 18 advertisements and 3 digital campaigns. And our social media, we ran a hashtag Oceanside Vista launch campaign, which garnered just over almost 13,900 impressions and 654 engagements. That's a 4.7% engagement rate. Facebook was the most effective platform for engaging our customers during this launch period, and the top posts were related to the mailers that we sent out to the cities of Vista and Oceanside during our enrollment process. We've had quite a few calls coming into our call center, totaling 5,540 calls between February and July of this year. Approximately 66% were from the cities of Oceanside and Vista customers. 96% of those calls were answered by a live agent, and on average, the agent answered within 39 seconds. There you see a chart down below on the opt-outs by customer over time, which is very typical of what we see following the mailing of the 4 mailers that go out, the pre-enrollment mailers as well as the post-enrollment mailers. So again, nothing atypical here. And as you can see over time, opt-outs have waned. This shows our current Vista and Oceanside enrollment statistics. You can see across the spectrum there of the different opt-down provisions, opt-outs, and opt-ups. We've had a total of 322 opt-ups, which is good news, 227 opt-downs, and we have a participation rate currently of 95.5%. So open to any discussions or questions on that item. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Greg?
Yeah, I just had a question about how they determine eligible customers. Does that seem kind of low? The initial number there? The first column where it said eligible customers. I mean, 35,000, that just sounds kind of.
Eligible customers are all those that are either not enrolled in a direct access in enrollment for other direct energy provision. Those are the customers that are in our database for active, formerly bundled customers with SDG&E. And that's those are just the numbers. Now, keep in mind that if you compare it to population, it's going to be dramatically different because population is people and you often have multiple people per household. So these are just the accounts and the meters that provide energy to those customers.
Tracy?
Can you, what was first three questions other than opt-in or opt-out? That was the inquiry, 1, 2, and 3 or something, anything like that?
Off the top of my head, I know the number one inquiry is about opt-out. Then you have questions about the construct of CCAs and the opt-out provisions. I can't remember the next two general questions. The next net energy metering is in there, in the top of the questions asked about solar customers and how they're handled through CEA versus SDG&E. Those are the three that come to mind that are the most frequently asked questions.
That's good.
I just have a question about the process when a call comes in and someone is determining they want to opt out. Are is staff providing them with, like, we're going to follow up, we send them a postcard later to ask them if they want to change their mind? How do we engage on that level to encourage them to make that decision at a later date?
Yeah, thanks for the question. We don't really have an active engagement with people who have voiced a preference or chosen to opt out. We don't actively go after those customers. We just continue to put out social media to respond to some of the frequently asked questions, and some of you all, as a matter of fact, have passed along discussions on Nextdoor or Facebook. And so what we do, rather than a direct contact with customers, is we put out FAQs tailored to respond to some of what we often find is misinformation. So a lot of the opt-outs are based on, I don't like the opt-out construct. They don't like just being automatically enrolled. Very difficult to convince those people. We've had conversations, not to say we haven't had conversations with people that have contacted us directly, but we just choose to engage with proactive social media, whether it's via our Instagram, Facebook page, on our website. But there's no active manner in which we go after the opt-out customers to say, hey, are you willing to come back? But it is something we can take a look at because we have an active cataloging of those customers.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if the number was large, or it really would be a big impact to the organization. But the question is, do we revisit that? We send a communication either by mail that says, it's been a year. This is what, we have done as a community, energy provider. And if you change your mind, I just was wondering if there was any benefit, or if other organizations have seen any benefit to that kind of engagement.
Yeah, we can certainly look into that. I would say that by and large, across the state, the opt-out percentage or the participation rate is quite high, and the opt-out percentage is typically characterized by people who you're not likely to convince. So I don't know that there's an active re-engagement of that customer base. We can certainly look around to other CCAs and see if there is. I think that, to your point, if there were a high percentage of opt-outs, that would be something we definitely consider. I would imagine other CCAs, given that same situation, would probably have a process to engage with those people. One offhand that comes to mind is OCPA, Orange County Power Authority. So we can talk to them and see if they've tried to do that or will be doing that. They're a rather new CCA, but definitely something we can look at.
Greg, I noticed there's 1 out of 1,000 Oceanside customers opted up for the 100% clean energy. When you're enrolling customers, do you promote 100% clean energy and do you discuss the price per month for opting up?
This has been the topic. Thanks for the question. Obviously, we've had conversations with members of you all, the Community Advisory Committee. We've discussed this idea. We don't have a lot of follow-up, but we don't actively try to push people into 100%. But during our outreach events, we certainly had, if you will, some incentives to opt up. Whether it's some of the giveaways that we have, we would provide to them. We'd have the ability to have a scanned QR code so they could do it right there at the table. We had a couple customers actually do that. That was really how we focused our during enrollment, trying to get people encouraged to opt up. Right now, our program is about the Green Impact Champions, trying to make that information and that program apparent to everybody, highlighting those businesses that do that, and in some cases, individuals or municipalities. And so we're really trying to focus our attention on promoting it by those that have already opted up to show others that others are doing it. As far as the premium that you pay for that, we don't actively engage in that discussion, although we do provide the information. Most people who've opted up are sort of indifferent, if you will, to that cost. They're willing to pay whatever it takes to go into that 100% green impact. So again, something we are looking at and working on and talking to other CCAs about how to encourage the opt-ups. We're going to be meeting with climate action plan staff of all our member agencies to discuss meeting their climate action plan goals. One of the ways in which they can do that is to opt up their municipal accounts. We have 2 member agencies that have done that already, Vista and Solana Beach. And so we're looking to engage with the staff level first and city management to see if it's something that might better or more quickly achieve their climate action plan goals.
Also, I noticed a recent Nextdoor post of a customer who was concerned about the cost of electricity and wanted to revert to SDG&E service. And he incorrectly claimed that he never knew that there was a cost associated after a 1.5 years of CA service of going back to SDG&E. So is that an infrequent occurrence or is,
yeah, I think it's probably infrequent in the grand scheme of things. However, we do make clear, and we do get that question about what are the requirements and the costs associated with going back to SDG&E as a bundled customer post the enrollment period, the grace period. And most of the time people have heard it, and it's really up to them to decide if they want to go into that transitional bundled rate and pay that small fee really just to go back in, or wait the 6 months. So I can't speak to that individual particularly. There are members of the public. There are a lot of members of the public that obviously we don't engage with on a one-on-one basis. So the extent to which they understand what the rules are is hard to know from one customer to the next.
okay. Any more questions on item 1? Any public comment on item 1?
We do not have any public speakers for item 1, but I would like to note that committee member Shade arrived at 1:05 and committee member Jameson arrived at 1:12 p.m. today.
Okay, thank you. Okay, item 2 is subcommittee reports. The EV infrastructure and incentive subcommittee did not meet since our last meeting, but we did send out a publication from the National Renewable Energy Lab, a DOE organization based in Golden, Colorado, that has a lot of useful information for siting and funding of charging stations. And we wanted to share that information so that anybody who's interested in this topic can look at those links. There are a bunch of useful videos, and it's sort of a nationwide based discussion, but the NREL is a federal organization that provides a lot of community resources and something we've already paid for through our taxes. So it's very useful to make use of NREL for energy advice. And I want to say that I attended a meeting there several years ago, and the whole campus is basically off the grid, and they're doing a number of energy projects. This was during the former President Trump's administration, and NREL successfully sort of below the radar and had lots of very valuable projects going forward. So put that on your website list as a valuable source of information. Committee for Programs for Disadvantaged Communities. Who's it?
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for asking. No, we didn't meet this so far. But I would like to have meeting, but one of the things that we were thinking about doing, I guess I need to have more direction from Greg and his team that maybe disadvantaged communities in the HOA areas. That's what I was thinking about doing, but we haven't met in a nutshell. Thank you.
Okay. Committee for Outreach to New Communities. Who's chair of that committee? Okay. Report. School outreach, that's you, Deborah.
We did not meet, although we're still tracking SB, I get the name wrong all the time, 1374. It's in appropriations. So it's in the suspense file, which technically means they're looking at the financial fiscal impact of the bill. So more to come on that. And we plan to meet between now and our next meeting in October to sort of put together our recommendations to the board from our committee.
Thank you. Green by 2035. And Dolores.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we have met and we have gotten, we haven't, this is the first time we've, given an update on our activities, and it sounds like, it's a lot of this is about, getting people to opt up. And that's basically the committee, the purpose of this subcommittee was to identify best practices and effective strategies to increase customer opt-ups to 100%. And since many CCAs have been operating much longer than CEA, we thought reaching out to them and learning more about their experiences and trying to increase opt-up rates made the most sense. So we've been in touch with a handful of CCAs up in the Bay Area, and they've been very, very generous and insightful and helpful, and have provided a lot of really good data, and also pointed us to research that's been done recently. There's one of the CCAs, I think it was San Jose, actually hired a firm to do research on, because it's well known that it's very challenging to get people to opt up, unless they're already very predisposed they're already environmentalists. I mean, there are ways, and I'll go through some of them. I'll just touch on them. But there is a firm, and I can see if that's something I can share too with the committee. Because it was really kind of interesting. Apparently, this challenge of getting people to opt up happens nationally. It's a very common thing for utilities, both our type of utility and the real utilities. But so I just wanted to sort of touch on some of the things that they mentioned, and this is just an update. So we'll be compiling some of the information later to start to prepare a final report. So some of the key observations shared by mostly marketing, communications, community outreach staff include some things that we already knew, which are, one of them is that marketing campaigns are really, expensive, and they are only minimally successful in getting customers to opt up. Kind of knew that from Barbara Boswell. She had sort of said, well, this is the experience that I've heard. Another thing that was interesting, and I can totally see how this would be more effective, is that someone mentioned, well, a few of them mentioned that community events, like whether it's, getting, for new customers or existing customers, if you're collaborating with a like-minded group, or maybe doing an outreach event at Earth Day, something like that, they found it's much more successful, because those are people who are already sort of primed, and they're receptive and interested. And financial incentives, which I think you touched on for customers, that has been helpful. Discounting the cost of EV charging stations, heat pumps for people who are already going electric. Not surprisingly, the most effective strategy for getting a critical mass of customers to opt up is, won't be surprising, is for the CCA or individual members to adopt 100% green default rate. And one CCA, actually, Marin County, is still actually bringing in new members. And they're requiring that all new members come in at the 100% renewable rate. So, I mean, the other things work, and you have to keep doing them. You have to keep on educating the community about what a CCA is and what the benefits are of them, opting up, et cetera. But all of those efforts are alone. Each of them are minimally, you might get 15 people here or whatever. But to get that critical mass of people who are going to opt up, you really need to go the other route. And some of the research that was done that I had mentioned discussed the barriers to opting up, which include the perceived value. One of the CCAs I talked to, they do, customer surveys every year. And they said they've always had customers a higher rate for valuing clean energy over the lower cost. She said this year was the first year that changed. So that's something else you need to sort of battle with, really, because these are most of the places, especially all these places in the Bay Area, as well as San Diego, very high cost of living, high cost of electricity. So some people are just, well, I need to save money. I can't. It keeps on going up anyway. I can't. A lot. There is definitely a misunderstanding or a lack of real comprehension, and I think part of that is because unlike utilities, like SDG&E and the like, CCAs haven't been around that long, so a lot of people don't really understand the structure and how it really works with SDG&E, and You know, I mean, and it doesn't, I mean, there are plenty of CCAs that have been doing a lot of work to try and educate people. And you know, it's just something that needs to continue. So the barriers, besides the perceived value issue, lack of understanding and therefore confidence in the CCA model, and general inertia, low priority. You know, I'm already at 60%, and I don't visually see what the big advantage is for me to go 100%. I just have to pay more money. You know, it's not tangible for people unless those of us who are so inclined. You know, we get it immediately. Some of the strategies to increase public awareness that really look to the barrier issues are, you know, doing videos, podcasts with board members or community supporters, having them, you know, live on the website. You know, I think we have a YouTube channel. I mean, these are all things that are, you know, require scripting and time and effort and all of that. But also, you know, local radio shows, TV interviews, op-ed pieces with partners, you know, whether the CEO, board members, or community partners. I've never seen an op-ed from anybody along those lines for some reason, I don't know. And the other thing that was kind of interesting is someone, the guy in Marin said, you know, we have a good, you know, the other thing is most of these are CCAs that have pretty big staffs. I mean, they've got several people doing marketing, communications, outreach, you know, and we're not there yet, you know, so you have to be realistic. One of the advantages that this colleague from Marin said was, you know, a lot of the CCAs don't even have community advisory committees like yours. You know, they have marketing and community outreach staff, which makes a huge difference. But, you know, couldn't we play a stronger advocacy role in the community? You know, do we think of ourselves as being advocates when we're out in the community? You know, and if we are, we should be, you know, equipped with talking points for different issues so that we know that we're all talking from the same script. Because I've done a lot of messaging and a lot of talking points and a lot of branding type work in the past. And I know the thing that really will kill you is if you are not all speaking from the same script. So it's just something to consider, you know, and I'd be happy to help write them with the firm, or, you know, when, you know, I think Greg, you know, would want to decide what the issues are, really, what are the primary issues we'd want to maybe play more of an advocacy role on, but also things can come up that we're not even expecting. You know, and someone says, well, why did this happen? Or why did that? Someone might know off the top of their head why that happened, you know, if it's Don like you, but not everyone. So, and then, you know, the collaborative possibilities, I think, were really stressed. And I, in my own experience, I've seen that can really build momentum. And especially if you can collaborate with like-minded organizations that are environmental, you know, even like a high school environmental group, you know, I mean, we probably have a lot of networks that we're not thinking about that we could leverage. Yeah. Okay, so that's sort of it, you know, just in terms of the update. And you know, if anyone has any questions or comments, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Dolores. Any questions? Linda, and then Paige, looks like you were getting ready to answer. No, Linda, go ahead.
There we go. Okay. Do we quote people exactly how much money it would cost them just to opt up?
I think we do. I mean, I have also received samples of things that some of the CCAs have produced. You know, like small brochures and things that can be mailed out and live on the website. And I don't know that the actual, well, I don't know that the actual amount is quoted, but we've been saying publicly and in things that I've written, like for the Del Mar community paper, we say usually an average of less than $5.
Less than $5.
Yeah.
But someone told me once it was like 0.0165 or something times the amount they're already paying or something like that.
It's a very small amount.
It actually averages about $3 per month. It's
$3 more a month. Okay.
0.0075 cents per kilowatt hour,
Okay.
not cents,
Okay.
$0.00750 per kilowatt hour.
Thanks.
Tracy, are you finished? Tracy, go
I
ahead.
reached out to a couple CCAs as part of the committee, and one of the things that kind of confused me is that they were pushing more to go carbon-free 100%. And I think sometimes the green gets tied into that. I won't be able to define the two, but they said that was their goal, was to go more 100% carbon-free than to go to 100% renewable. And that's what they were marketing or advertising. And they seemed that set well with people that they could kind of understand that a little bit more than 100% renewable.
Yeah, that's a good point. Right. I think that Silicon Valley actually started with 100%. So if you can do that, obviously, there's nothing better than that. But, you know, one of the other things I was thinking about with this is, so we know that a lot of these strategies, marketing, communications, outreach, you know, they're good and they're helpful and they're needed to educate people and get, you know, remind people that, you know, that they could and should opt up for good reasons. But the other thing is this, we could maybe develop a list of, like, I don't know, best practices for outreach efforts. Because now that we're at the point where everyone, I mean, are we going to have any new members? I don't know. I mean, not in terms of actual municipalities, probably. I guess we could, but so, I mean, if looking at sort of the second wave of outreach, that is really not getting people to sign up for the first time. You know, what kinds of activities and events and things should you focus on? You know, and I think, well, I mean, the biggest incentive is probably to get people to opt up. So identify those activities that will encourage that the most.
Paige.
Okay, I have a question for Greg and or Dan. I just wonder if all of our customers were at 100%, do we have the capability of meeting those goals?
That's a good question. The answer is complicated, and I'll try to start by saying, if we needed to procure 100% renewable for all our customers, we could likely find that amount of renewable. The question is at what cost and at what duration. So a cautionary note here is, of course, as our goals are to move to 100% renewable or carbon-free by whatever specified time. And I will point out that we're learning all our member agencies have different timeframes within which they're supposed to go to net zero or zero carbon energy. The challenge will become largely economical, because at today's prices, if we were to engage in long-term contracts for 100% renewable territory-wide, it would be extremely expensive and it would be a challenge. And in the out years, when everyone is hoping that the cost of renewables will go down, we'll be locked into those long-term contracts. So that $3 premium per month on an average residential customer is already too low for the market price that we're paying for renewable. So we'd have to do some extensive analysis to see what that looks like. And in fact, we do get inquiries from well, at least we've had one from one member agency to say, hey, what would it take to go to 100% default? Because you can have different agencies within our JPA at a different default product that's allowable. In fact, I think Encinitas is at 100% default in SDCP. It's just, we have to evaluate this in real market, numbers, and decide and determine what is that premium that should be charged so that we're covering our costs, and whether or not we should go to a territory-wide sort of program of encouraging opt-ups or default products to 100%. So the short answer is the product is likely available, but we would certainly have to increase the premium for which customers would pay for that product. And, so those are the two answers. That's the challenge. And it's, again, then the long-term prospect of having to meet our RPS under whatever percentage of long-term contracts means we'd be paying at today's prices. Let's say this happened tomorrow. We'd be paying these prices for long-term 10 to 14 years, and that maybe longer, and that could be very expensive in the out years when prices of renewables start to come down.
Would it help at all for us to promote more residential rooftop solar, or is that not a factor?
I don't know that that's necessarily a factor. I think we do very well with our solar during the day. And we generate quite a bit in our service territory on rooftop solar. I think it's equal parts of both, but I don't know that that's the solution to all of this. But it is a part of it.
How about batteries?
Battery storage is probably a better solution, given that what our grid reliability and the ability to generate or provide energy during the peak hours when solar goes down, or the sun goes down rather. That's a huge need right now for everybody in the state.
Deborah.
Yeah, I just had a couple of questions about the process that each of our city councils, because you were at that time with Solana Beach, took to decide what the appetite was for their community for the products that they, released. And did they at that point consider whether they would meet their energy climate action goals with the product line that they were actually, putting in the market? I just still, we'll always have new customers because people buy and sell homes. There's always an opportunity there, but I just don't, the greatest opportunity is really in the initial offering. And I'm just wondering, what was the conversation and decision tree that did not allow cities to go at a higher percentage?
Thanks for the question. This is welling up a lot of memories from my time in SEA and then when this started. So I think a lot of it really had to do with individual cities' climate action plan goals. And so every climate action plan by necessity had join a CCA, a community choice aggregation program, as your number one way to meet your climate action plan goal for energy and electricity. And so that was the starting point. They also looked at a 2035 100% renewable target, or GHG free. We've recently learned that some cities, including Escondido and Carlsbad, actually set their goal for 2030. So those climate action plans dictated, okay, the conversation around at what level to enter into. Now, I think it was largely driven by the founding members. When Solana Beach did it in 2017, we knew that we were going to meet that objective for GHG reduction just by forming a CCA. And then we said, okay, how quickly do we run a ramp up? And our climate action, there I go again. Their climate action plan said 2035, 100%. And so the idea was, let's be higher than most. 75% GHG free is higher than most. In fact, I don't know many, if any, statewide CCAs that have a default product other than, I think OCPA recently launched at 100%. In any event, that was decided, okay, we'll have a 75% GHG free, 50% renewable, 75%, and then the opt up to 100%. And that was, that met our objectives. It met the objectives of the climate action plan. And that was the point at which the council was comfortable. When Del Mar and Solana Beach, and Carlsbad entered into the discussion, and other cities actually, when all the cities were talking about this, many just said, let's start with a 50% because that's what most do. That's higher than the IOU, and it's more cost effective. And the member agencies felt strongly that 75% mid-range product would get us as an entity there quicker. And that was selected as a default. And then the nod to having a more cost-effective, product, they ended up with 3 products, the 50%, the default 75%, and then 100%. So I think it was just there was a lot of discussion around it at our council level. When Solana Beach joined CEA, there was discussion about it. And there was some hand wringing, I think, with the 50%. But as long as the default was higher than most, I think that council was comfortable with that. Now, I will say there was also discussion about, okay, when and at what point do we talk about, as a city, Solana Beach being 100% as the default? And so those inquiries are still coming in. I can't speak to what each city council did as a decision point to join CEA, but the 3 original members I know had some discussion and decided that there should be 3 products, and they all agreed at the 75% as the default.
So just to follow up on that, so the newer cities have a different different date in terms of when they're expected to be 100% renewable, right? They don't all have 2035.
That's correct. We're finding in our the climate action plans from member agencies, there are different goals. Most of them are 2035. I think Oceanside, for example, I believe has a 90% by 2030. That's off the top of my head, something like that.
Yeah.
So they're all different. And that's why part of the reason we're setting up meetings with the staff is to talk to them about their goals, what they see is logical in terms of what we can do to assist them. But again, Escondido and Carlsbad have a 2030, a more aggressive,
Great.
100%. I believe it's 100% GHG free for those cities, whereas Solana Beach has 2035. Most have 2035 as the out year, 100%.
No, go ahead.
I can
Right.
actually, if you like, just pull it up here. Yeah, Oceanside is 75% renewable by 2030. Vista is 90% renewable and 0 carbon by 2030. San Marcos is 95% renewable and 0 carbon by 2030 with 97% participation rate. As I mentioned, Escondido and Carlsbad are 100%, but Carlsbad's 100% renewable by 2030, whereas Escondido is 0 carbon by 2030. Solana Beach, 100% renewable and 0 carbon by 2035, and Del Mar, this 100% renewable by 2035. So they're all little nuances of differences, but obviously aggressive in terms of getting to that 100% at some point.
Greg, I had a question. I was going to save it for the end, but since you brought it up, 2 meetings ago, we were discussing somehow meeting with the city managers to facilitate our member meeting with their city planners or other, departments. But then I remember Dwight sent an email says, hold your horses now. Greg is going to let us know when is a good time to go and meet with them. For example, Ron and I were going to go meet with, say, Oceanside. But what is the status of that? That's what I'm asking.
Thank you for the question. And yes, as part of our outreach we don't as an entity, this is just a rule I subscribe to, that if we're going to be engaging member city staff members, we don't just go straight to them. We include the city managers. So we have reached out to each city manager of our member agencies as part of our engagement with their climate action plan staff to say, we intend to meet with your staff. We'd like to include you. Please get back to us and let us know if you would like to participate. We've had limited response from the city managers, but I believe that's just a matter of them delegating that responsibility to their environmental staff.
And the reason I brought it up, just for you, Ron, and everyone, you ask what is our subcommittee is doing anything. The reason I can't do that much because I need the data. I need to reach out to the city planner, tell me, what are your disadvantaged communities or what are, for example, HOA. So they have those info. That's why we just, stay put till we meet with these people, then we'll be able to roll up our activities. Thank you.
And just as a closing comment, I had intended after discussion just to say, sound a little bit of a cautionary note about the question that Member DeCinco asked, the question asked about, can we do this? And I would suggest that if we were looking to go 100% renewable as our default product in the next couple months, I would strongly advocate that we pause that and say, okay, we need to look at it from an economic standpoint to make sure that A, the product is available out there in the market, and B, we can afford it and we're charging the right price for it. So I think a phased approach, Solana Beach has asked about looking at a default of 100%. Their load is relatively small in comparison to the balance of our entire territory. Were they to do something like that, we could likely pull that off with pretty good certainty. So a phased approach might be the best way to approach this if that's something we were actively trying to do.
Yes, good.
Switch on. Yeah, as I've been sitting here listening, it seems to me that it would make a lot of sense for the CEA to consider, like you say, a phased approach, going towards 100% carbon-free first, and then approaching 100% renewables later, because the renewables right now are expensive and expected to decline in price. So that seems like it would get us to where the climate action plans want us to be, which is reducing the carbon content right away or soon, and eventually getting to 100% renewable as well. And one other thing that occurs to me is that, we're not in the gas business, but conversion of homes from gas to electric is a huge push towards getting rid of the carbon. And I know it's not in our purview to talk about gas too much, but if we could get to a zero carbon source, situation, then we could encourage people to get off natural gas and go to electric utilities or appliances, and they would be reducing their gas usage, their carbon emissions substantially. So that would be my recommendation to the board, is to consider, not concentrating so much on 100% renewables up front, but on carbon-free, and see how far we could go with that before, committing to buying a bunch of renewables are a high price right now.
All right. Any further comments on this interesting topic? Any public comment on the subcommittee reports?
We do not have any public speakers for item 2.
Okay. I had a question about a recent Renewable Energy Network award to SDCP. That's not on the agenda for today, but I just wanted to know if CEA is involved with this, Ren.
Yeah, thank you. The question from the Vice Chair is regarding the San Diego Regional Energy Network. It's a request for formation of a SDREN. The lead agencies on that are the County of San Diego partnering with San Diego Community Power. I don't know how much has been made known to the committee. CEA was actively involved in early discussions about that and made a request for a 3-party sort of application. That didn't happen, but we've been actively involved. We've been on the committee, the formation committee, and discussions, and I'm forgetting the name. Caitlin, help me out. The inaugural outreach committee. Did I get that right? Advisory, not outreach, advisory. And now that it's been approved, we are on the advisory committee to engage fully with them. And since being here, we have been actively engaged with SDCP, their staff, and we are, because it's countywide, we will receive the benefits of this program or this application and the entity. And so we're looking forward to partnering with them to see what kind of energy efficiency programs we can all achieve here under the SDREN.
Thank you for that update. Item 3 is the website review. And I think
If I could, just returning, Vice Chair, with your permission, just to the question that Committee Member Reed asked about the top call center inquiries through the first three phases: billing inquiry, net energy metering, cash out request, net energy metering, opt-out submitted, and bill inquiries and opt-out inquiries were the top. Okay. So this item, there was a discussion about updating our website to make it more user-friendly and provide information that was not perceived to be absent or might make it a better website. I'd like to thank the members of the committee who put in their comments and suggestions. I want to thank our staff, particularly Caitlin and Kaylin, who worked on this with Trepepi Smith as well, and all our staff involvement. And these are some of the things we've done initially. There's unfortunately a lot of scam out there, scam entities who are trying to take advantage of folks. And so we've added an initial pop-up right on as you go onto the site about notifications that look like they're coming from CEA. So we're just warning our members when they go to the site right away that, hey, be on the lookout for this. It's not just getting emails at your place of work. We've added a background with histories on community choice energy programs throughout the state, and also added a timeline of when CEA began and when we began service to our member agencies or member cities. So that's been added to the website. We've added a what's new section to the homepage that highlights new programs and other topics that are covered in the news. And we've also incorporated graphics to make it more appealing and presentable. And obviously those will be updated as we go through time, and keeping in mind that this is not intended to be a static website, that it's intended to be dynamic and staying updated as we go along. We, on the drop-down menu, suggested that understanding your bill is a very commonly asked question about how do I read my bill. So we've moved that up to the top of the menu on the drop-down menu for billing and rates. So that appears first and more readily accessible to folks. And then we've added a question to our Green Impact Champions page, simply what is the Green Impact Champions program, so that it gives a description of what that is and what the benefits are for being a member of that. And as to our last discussion about 100% Green Impact product, this is another way to hopefully get more people interested in becoming a Green Impact Champion. And we're still working on some, if you made suggestions that haven't been covered here, we're working on updating the website continually. And we're looking to add photos of landmark images for our member agencies, cities, different, if you have some ideas about what we might want to highlight, that's something that we'd like to do. Having a rotating homepage and visuals just to make it a more interesting and, as I said, dynamic website. And then beginning to feature Green Impact Champions across our community on social media platforms. And that's one of the ways in which we are looking to make that a more noticeable as well as a more appealing program that we're running to get folks and businesses to opt up to 100% renewable. So those are the immediate changes we've made and are still working on. And if there's any questions, be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Greg. I have a suggestion for a picture. There's 120 solar panels on top of the Del Mar City Hall. We've got some good drone pictures of those.
Yeah, yeah.
Deborah.
That's great.
Yeah.
I just had two comments on the Green Impact Q&A, FAQ, I guess. My suggestion would be you have a hyperlink right into signing up. Like if you go there and you have interest, you don't know what it is, there's no reason to create a barrier where they have to get off of that and go to another page. So, and the other one was, I know to make this a more dynamic, I think if you could add a active live social media feed from our social media sources so that is either rotating or is, updated, I don't know, when they open the page. I think it would add a lot to that. And people may be more likely to follow once they see the page as it's, presented. But anyway, other than that, great job. It's always great to see the improvement over time, and I'm just really excited about the changes.
Yeah, definitely improvement. Yeah, thank you. It's a
Yeah,
work in progress, unfortunately.
I appreciate the scam alert. We have been getting scam messages that seem to be from SDG&E about billing that
Oh, right.
are
yes.
really,
Yes.
I think, misleading. And I know that senior population in Del Mar has fallen victim to a number of these scams. So if you don't look carefully at where these messages are coming from, you can get misled easily.
One other point, although it is embedded when you click through the scam, it might be good to learn about report, like 2 different hyperlinks, so that you just, if you feel like you're living it, you click in automatically and you're able to report, because it's way down at the bottom once you follow through that says, if you believe you've had a scam, you can contact us. I would just put some kind of feed right there so that we can have an idea how active this is against our organization, and put it right there as a second hyperlink.
Do we actually have, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Do we actually have email addresses for customers so that they can actually get an email saying what we will never do and what we do? Like a lot of companies do when there's a scam, like we will never call you. We will never.
So I'm sorry if I'm trying to understand the question. Do we have an email we send out to customers?
Could we send out, could we make this the information you have on the website is really good, but to push it out more for people who aren't going to go to the website necessarily?
Right, I think it's that IRS, it says we never call, we only send you an email to your address. That's what I think.
Yeah, IRS and a few other organizations, eBay and Amazon and.
I can look into that. I think it's a good idea. I think maybe we can even work with our call center. We have standard recordings. I mean, we don't always get a live person, but perhaps that's something we can add, because I know in some of the banking institutions I call, they have that disclaimer
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, like we don't ask for your credit card information,
Right,
but
over the phone,
whatever.
yeah, or
that
via
kind of stuff.
text. Yeah. Okay. We'll look into that.
That's good.
Yeah, I had a question about under the electrification and financing resources, if a link could be added to the home loaner burner program for induction cooking. There's, I think, a couple of us page. It would just be, it's an easy program where you can borrow a burner for 3 weeks and see what induction cooking is all about to help people buy into electrifying their homes.
Well, unfortunately, the San Diego Green Building Council didn't get funding to continue. So there may be other options.
So I'm still getting emails though about it, since I have one of the burners at my house.
I do too.
Yeah, okay, so I don't know, maybe we could adopt the program then.
The library is going to take it over in Carlsbad for us.
Are they? So it's gonna be county then? Okay. Never mind.
All right, any further comments on the website? Any public comments on the website presentation?
We do not have any speakers for item 3.
All right, our next meeting is scheduled right here for October 10th. Dwight will be back and I'll be in Greece.
One thing I did want to add that
Okay.
we will be adding to the website, you likely saw the press release on SDG&E's come out with the My Energy Center platform. So we will be providing a link to that on our website so that customers can see what that looks like in the interface. And so that'll be coming too.
Okay.
Thank you.
And will you add something about the San Diego Regional Energy Network?
Yeah, the meeting on that will be coming out soon. And yeah, that'll be on our website.
I just had one comment, is that Paige and I are very involved with the Carlsbad cap that has just been released. And as part of the cap, they are stating they'll all go to green impact government buildings, municipal buildings, so I thought that was a good, because they want to save energy too.
Okay, Mo, did you want to say something?
Are we at the end of meeting right now? Should I bring it in or should I wait for? I have one comment to share with everyone and then I have one question from our legal lady, Elizabeth.
This is off agenda now, so.
Okay.
I'll
So,
defer to Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Where are we?
first, yeah, go ahead, Elizabeth.
So as long as it's brief,
Yeah, it is
That's
very
okay.
brief. And then you don't have to
we'll
answer
cut
to me
you off
right now.
if it gets too long. How about?
No. I'm usually known as very get to the point kind of thing.
Yeah,
So,
30 seconds, Mo.
yeah,
Go.
30 seconds. Yeah, basically, I want your opinion. This is a hypothetical. If a person running for election, say as a city council, and they come to me because they know I'm a committee member, and they want to learn more about this business that we are in, that way they can use it in their campaign. Am I allowed or are we allowed to reach out and help these folks or no, say, you know what, go to the website and learn everything, don't talk to me about it. That's it, 30, 20 seconds, I finished.
So you as an individual, Mo,
Yeah,
have First Amendment rights to do whatever you like. You as committee member Lesage are prohibited from using any public resources to campaign for or against anything, including candidates. So if you want to talk more after about those limitations, I'm happy to do that.
yeah, I'll reach out to you. And then the other comment I have is I attended a couple of these outreach and it was very good. One in Vista and one in Ocean Hill community. And I think the question I got a lot from people, they didn't know that we are a nonprofit organization. They all thought that we are another for-profit like SDG&E, so I had to educate them. So that was very eye-opening for the people that asked those questions. That's it. Thank you.
I just have one comment.
Oh,
I
okay,
think Rick was
Thank
up
you.
first and then
Okay.
Deborah.
thank you. I had one question is, what is the plan for trying to get San Clemente into the fold?
Thanks for the question. At this point, there's really no immediate plans to get Sam Committee back involved. I do know that there were discussions in the past and engagement there. But at this point, from an operational standpoint, we're happy that we're fully enrolled right now and expansion is not in the plans for the next year at least. But we're always open to discussing that. And in fact, we had a meeting, the city of Coronado hired a consultant to meet with both SDCP and CEA about potential for them joining one, or really not the potential to join, but what are the pros and cons of each different CCA. So we're always willing to talk to those partners if they, or potential partners if they're interested. That said, again, from an operational standpoint, we're not planning and a procurement standpoint to expand our load and our enrollment in the next at least year or two.
Thank you.
Deborah.
We don't have an opportunity within our agenda to make a comment like Mo just made, and I think we need to add that. Like, it could be general announcements or committee report, or, we just don't have any opportunity to share unless we're sharing from our committee or it's agenda item. And I just feel like we should consider, I guess I'm talking to the committee, we should consider adding that so that as members, we can report information from our individual cities or outreaches that don't necessarily fall under subcommittees. I'm just putting that out there. Every board I'm on has that. So I'm just, yeah.
We were just discussing.
Did you just say that? Okay.
Making
I
sure
did
that
not, I did
happened
not read your lips.
for
So,
the future
okay.
agendas.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, I think that's a good, Tracy.
What I have kind of follows that too, kind of for Greg, is that recently this week, the governor has said that he's going to put out a plan to reduce electric rates. I mean, maybe we need an item 2 on the agenda typically of what the status of stuff for the state is. Because, I've read 2 or 3 different stories on it. And each one has a different spin. So that's it.
All right. So a new meeting format next time. All right. I think no further comments. It's time to adjourn. We don't need a motion to adjourn. We can just leave. Hmm.